Hey y'all, today I'm going to share with you our minimalist baby feeding essentials for the younger baby as well as an older baby once they transition into eating solids. So if you are new here, I'm Amy from the Harris Homestead. I share a lot of motherhood content, lifestyle content. I share daily vlogs. I share clean recipes, wellness tips, pretty much everything. And then I also share little bits of our home renovation, hence our unfinished kitchen behind me. So if you're new, I would love to have you subscribe and join us each week. So we'll jump right into this video with the most minimalist baby feeding essential. If you're breastfeeding, all you really need are your boobs. There's really not much more to have. You could have a little hand pump, a haka, but if you just are strictly breastfeeding and you're a stay-at-home mom, all you need is your boobs. So this video may not even be necessary for you to watch. However, I do still work out of the home and I do need to be able to have my babies take a bottle. I do need to be able to pump. I do need to be able to store breast milk. So I'm going to share with you how I do all of that as minimal as possible in this video. So to start out, we just use plain old Mesa bottles for our baby bottles. I have just a Mesa bottle with a typical ring and a flat, and then just a plastic ball lid that is just easier to screw on and off. So this was the easiest, most simple method to feed our babies that we have found. So I love using this for our bottles and our milk storage because they are glass. I knew I wanted glass bottles for our children because there's so much toxins in plastics these days, even when they claim to be BPA free and safe for children to eat out of. I just feel much more comfortable using glass. So I knew I wanted to use glass and I knew I wanted to keep it as minimal as possible. There's all types of glass baby bottles, but they still have so many parts and pieces that you have to clean and wash. But this baby bottle literally has 3 pieces. You have your mason jar, which I already showed you. You have just a ring that comes with all mason jars, and then you have this mason nipple. So this is the most amazing invention I've ever heard of. So all you literally do is take your pumped milk, pump this morning. You would take off the lid. Then you would just pop this on and you're ready to feed your baby. So this is super simple for sending your child to sitters. All they literally have to do is pop off the lid, pop on the mason nipple, and you're ready to feed. Every time we're out and about feeding our children, people always ask what kind of bottles we use, and this is it. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about it in this video today. So like I already said, we wanted to use glass because we didn't want plastics leaking into our child's milk, because it has all types of toxic chemicals in there, endocrine disruptors that mess with their sleep, their mood. So I just stay away from plastic as much as possible with our children in any form. So now that we've talked about the bottle, let's talk about how you get milk to store. So obviously, if you want to store milk in mason jars, you're going to have to pump some milk. So the most minimalist pump that I have found that I absolutely love is this Medela hand pump. I've talked about this in a previous breastfeeding video, but if you are going to not use any other pump, this pump is like $25. This will definitely get the job done. The only downfall is you can only pump one side at a time. So what I love to do with this is in the morning time when I'm feeding my baby, when my breasts are the fullest, and I know she's probably not going to empty both breasts in that morning session, I'll let her feed on one side and then I will pump on the other. Then I will just pour the breast milk into a mason jar, put it in the refrigerator or in the freezer for future consumption. So this is the most minimalist pump I recommend. You could also use a haka. I'm not as big of a fan of a haka. I am not one that has a huge letdown, so this never caught just bundles and bundles of milk for me. Some women absolutely love it and they only use a haka, but for me this is a little more, this extracts the milk a little bit better than the haka. So if you want to stay very minimal, go with a Medela hand pump or a haka. Now, however, if you are going to be outside of the home and working and you need a more quicker, efficient pump, I've used both of these, the good old Medela pumping style and then the Spectra. So which one is my favorite? Definitely by far the Spectra. I used this one with my first baby and I used this one with my second baby, and I by far love the Spectra. The Medela worked, it got me some milk, but it took forever to get the milk, it took forever just to have a letdown. This one is probably twice as fast and I get just as much, if not more, milk from using the Spectra. So these are the 4 pumps I've used. To keep it minimal, I go with the hand pump. If you are going to use an electric pump, I recommend the Spectra, but I know many moms who love the Medela, so it's really more or less just a personal preference. For me, I tried both. It kind of was a trial and error. I wish I had just started with the Spectra, but you live and you learn. So we've talked about the bottles, we've talked about pumping, let's talk about storage. So I prefer glass when storing anything. We've slowly been eliminating plastic from our home the last couple of years, so I knew I didn't want to bring in lots of plastic baggies, plastic bottles for our breast milk. So I know lots and lots of moms will use those plastic breast milk storage bags because they can easily stack in their freezer, they can lay flat, and if you are donating milk, I understand that's probably the easiest way to go because they are disposable. However, the only issue with using plastic storage bags is the toxic chemicals and such that are in plastic. So I know they claim to be safe, but inevitably there's going to be some form of toxic chemicals, endocrine disruptors leaking into that breast milk. And breast milk is really fatty for a reason, and that plastic loves fat, so it's going to kind of stick to the fat in your breast milk, and then some of those chemicals are going to be consumed by your baby. So I highly recommend staying away from plastic if possible. So we have two options. The most minimalist form of storage is going to be stored directly in the mason bottle. So this is going to take up a little bit more room, but I love storing it in the 4-ounce bottles and then just stacking them in my freezer. And then when I'm ready to give them to my baby, take it out, let it thaw, and then pop the lid on. There's no transferring of liquids, and it's just super minimalist, super simple, less dishes to wash, just super easy. I have done a full video on the Genobi breast milk storage bag, so this is another option. These are more expensive than the plastic bags. They are made of silicone, so there's not going to be any toxins leaking into that breast milk like I talked about with the plastics. What I do love about these is you can write directly on them the date the milk was pumped. When I use the mason bottle, I just write it on the lid, but these are really convenient. However, I don't use them for like long-term storage in the freezer because you'd have to have quite a few of these to put them in the freezer. They hold about 6 ounces each, so these are more or less great for just putting milk in the fridge and then taking it on the go, then transferring it into the mason bottle when you're ready to feed your baby. So I have a whole video on the Genobi breast milk bags. If you want to check that out and learn more, I will leave a coupon down in the description below. So storing, I definitely recommend glass if possible, or the silicone bag. I just don't feel comfortable storing breast milk in plastics. We talked about bottles, we talked about pumps, we talked about storage. Let's talk about how you are to thaw and warm up breast milk when your baby is ready to drink it. So I'm keeping this a minimalist video, so you definitely don't have to have a fancy warmer. You can literally just have a bowl of warm water, set your bottle in there or your breast milk storage bag and let the milk warm that way. It'll take about 4 to 5 minutes probably to get to the temperature of a baby to drink it. However, if you want to make this a little more convenient, you can get a bottle warmer. We love this one. It was given to us at a baby shower, so I loved having it as a gift, and we definitely used it, but I don't see it as necessary if you want to keep this baby essentials to minimal. But I do love that you can just plug it in, you fill it with water. You only have to refill it probably every 4 to 5 days. Put the bottle in there, turn the dial, and your breast milk is warming. You can also pop these directly in there as well. Definitely not necessary, but it is convenient if you want to put it on your baby registry and maybe get it as a gift. So that covers it for my newborn, younger baby minimalist feeding essentials up until they start solids. So literally you don't even have to have any of this other stuff. You can just have a mason bottle nipple, mason jars, and a Medela hand pump if you want to keep it super minimal, and a bowl of warm water. So let's move on to an older baby once they are drinking solids and not drinking out of a bottle anymore. So first of all, we still use the good old mason jars. I use these smaller jars in the beginning to let my son start learning to drink out of an open cup. Then I had some little, I don't have anymore because they all broke, and I haven't ordered any more for the next child. I don't recommend them, but they have these little silicone things that go over a mason jar that is like a little sipper cup. They don't leak, but what I didn't like about them is they consistently cracked where they were rubbing against the mason jar, so I probably will not invest in those again. They were great for 3 or 4 months that we used them, but then they didn't last very long. So I do recommend is a straw top lid. So there's no reason that your child cannot go ahead and learn to start drinking out of a straw as early as possible. My son was drinking out of a straw at about 10 months. The only downfall to this is that if you do want to take it on the go, it is possible that it will leak if they turn it upside down. But that was just something we dealt with. Once your baby's done using the bottles, you can literally just convert them over to straw top lid and still use those same mason bottles. This straw top will fit in the smaller mason jar. It'll just kind of scrunch it up. So sticking with the mason jar trend, we use mason jars for everything. That is for drinks. I will link these in the description below. Moving on to like once they start eating solids. You can definitely just let your child eat off whatever plates you eat off of. If you have some form of a plastic plate, bamboo plate, or if you even want to pull out your nice china, that is perfectly fine. If you want to keep this minimal, children are much more capable than we give them credit for. They're probably not just going to start throwing plates unless they're just in some form of a mood. However, if you are worried about that, I do love these plates from the Bella Tuna company. They have this suction bottom, so when you put them on the table, push them down, they don't easily come up. Now this is a wood table. I usually put them on like a mat to make it suction better. Here's our mats we use, but when you suction it to here, it's not gonna come out really easily, and your child can't just easily like throw their plate across the room. See, I'm having trouble getting it up now. These are great, they worked well. I'll link a few of my other favorites down in the description below, but if you are worried about your child moving their plate around and throwing it, definitely look into some form of plate with a suction on the bottom. Then this, another not completely necessary item, but like our tables are wood, so this doesn't suction to it that well. So this has been great to use as like a placemat to suction their plates to. So moving on to feeding, I mean, in the early days, your baby's just gonna eat solids with their hands, but when they are ready to start using utensils, we just went straight ahead and purchased utensils that look just like our utensils. So he felt like he was independent using the same utensils as us. They're just a little bit smaller for his size. All of these items we linked in the description below, but we strive for independence with our children. We keep all of his utensils down at his level where he can reach them and pull them out as needed. So he has been getting his own plate, spoon, fork since he was about a year old. So he loves that his utensils look like mom and dad's utensils and was much more ready to use them and start feeding himself. We also have this cutter for him. Again, some of these aren't minimalist essentials. These are just things that have been helpful for us. So this is a kid-safe cutter. He loves cutting bananas with this, any soft foods like muffins, strawberries, things like that. So, and then finally I have bibs. So bibs are definitely probably necessary in the beginning. He used a bib until he was about a little past a year, and he was just not having bibs anymore. I think it was the whole independence factor. But again, this is the Bella Tuna brand. These were given to us as gifts. I do love that some of the plates and bibs color coordinate, but if you hear in the background, that's my daughter awake. I'm gonna go grab her real quick and then finish out this video. So someone didn't want to take her full nap today. This is Tanner Jewel, my 3-month-old, and she is strictly breastfed. I do pump and give her some milk at night. My husband gives her bottles at night, as well as my mom when she's keeping her, just to get her used to the bottle when I'm not with her. So it might sound like I talked about quite a few items here, but just to recap, all you really need is your boobs if you're strictly breastfeeding. If you do want to give some bottles, get you some 8-ounce mason jars, some 4-ounce mason jars, or whichever one you prefer. Mason nipples, we love. You can get all sorts of attachments for this, but again, keeping it most minimalist, just the nipple will work just fine. When you look up mason nipple, they have all sorts of attachments if you're interested. And then some sort of a pump. This is my absolute favorite, the Medela manual hand pump. And then once your baby is eating solids, just get them some forks that's their size that will fit their mouth, that look just like yours. So I'm now gonna go feed Tanner Jewel, maybe pump a little bit for her to have tonight in a bottle. And I hope this list has been helpful for you if you are expecting a new baby, or if you're just looking to streamline your baby feeding essentials and not have so many pumps and parts and pieces all over your kitchen. That was one of the things I dreaded about having a baby, was all of the bottle pieces that you have to wash and sterilize and have sitting out in your kitchen counter. We literally have 3 pieces of this. The mason jar goes in the dishwasher, the mason nipple gets washed with warm soapy water, and then I sterilize them every 3 to 4 days. So thank y'all so much for stopping by our homestead. I hope this list has been helpful for you in streamlining your baby feeding essentials, or if you're an expectant mom and you were trying to decide what to put on your registry. We were given quite a few of these on our registry, and that was just very helpful. It was something simple that friends and family could gift us that we really were going to use. So thank y'all so much for watching this video today, and I will see y'all in my next one.